This episode is presented in partnership with Airbnb. Baby, Memorial Day weekend is all about family, food, and kicking off summer. And with Airbnb, you can celebrate in one of the most loved homes in America. All right, y'all, let's dive in. What was it like to finally open up and decide to share so many personal things?
I started off being very careful about what I put in it. And the next thing you know, it just came out and everything was there. Some of it I had to take out of there. Because I would have gotten a lot of trouble, you know.
A lot of those days were much happier than the days that I had when I started making my own money.
Yeah, what you started when you were 5.
9. I had to get to work soon because I was poor. Talking about your marriage and then leaving.
Yes.
What was the moment that told you it was time to go?
Well, there were many moments that told me it was time to go. The day that I had a baby, I said to my baby, and this is the honest to God truth, I said, I screwed up a bunch of stuff, but I'm not gonna screw this up. I'm gonna get this right. I'm not gonna screw it up, and I didn't. You know, I mean, I didn't. I made mistakes.
You definitely did not. No matter what we're doing in the car, just chilling, pop on Amazon Music, sit back and listen. Life, love, sex, science, covering it all. Especially live back as money dollars involved. No matter what it is, we gon' make it make sense.
Please welcome the multi-talented Miss Keke Palmer.
Get in the
Welcome to Los Angeles! What a night! Thank you!
Baby, this is Keke Palmer, yeah.
You guys, I am so excited to be here tonight celebrating one of the greatest matriarchs of all time. We all know Miss Tina Knowles. And it's also so great to be celebrating mothers in general tonight. And even if you don't have kids of your own, you probably a mama to many. Y'all know what I mean. I'm so glad to be here. I'm a proud mother of a 2-year-old little boy named Otis. And also I'm joined tonight with my mom, who's somewhere in the audience, Miss Sharon Palmer, the icon, the hero, my girl.
Baby, this is Keke Palmer, yeah.
Please join me in applauding and welcoming to the stage Miss Tina Knowles, Mama T. Cowboy Carter's happening. I seen you guys all on stage, all the generations from you to B to Rumi and Blue. I'm Rumi, my sister's Blue. It took me way back to when we were kids.
Really?
How's it been going and how's everything feeling? It's a lot happening.
It's been a lot, but it's been a labor of love. I mean, I've been having the best time, and I feel so blessed to be here with you guys tonight to talk about the book. And people have told me how much they like the book. It's surreal for me.
I know it must be so different because like you were saying, you've done the girls' hair. A lot of times you're doing things behind the scenes. People may not be aware of all the things you're doing, but now you're front and center. How new and good or interesting has that experience been for you?
It's been interesting. And you know, for so long, I intentionally was behind the scenes and I was very happy with that. And I'm still happy with that, but I don't mind people knowing that I've contributed a lot, that I've accomplished a lot in my life because I think I needed that.
Yes.
You know? And it's unfortunate that I had to get to be older before I realized that, you know, that I've had a really interesting, full life and that it's okay to feel good about that and to feel good about yourself. Yeah.
And honestly, you keep us going online. You feel like a mama to all of us, but we know that's not new because most people feel like you're their second mom. Someone who also feels that way is here with us tonight. And I'd love to bring her out, Miss Jennifer Hudson.
Yes!
Come on out here, Jennifer. You look lovely. Now, Jennifer, I know you and Miss Tina, y'all go way back to Dreamgirls and happen to really bond on set together. Tell me a little bit about that experience.
Wow. Well, first of all, it was a dream to be in her presence and obviously meet her girls and just to have that experience. But it was also a comfort because it had a familiarity to it for me, feeling that motherhood that came through you, that made me feel that much more welcome walking into such a journey. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now, Jennifer, there's a song, a special song that Mama T loves you to sing. It's called Impossible Dream. Tell me why that song. Like, how did that become a song that she loved hearing you sing?
I don't know. Let's ask her.
Well, you know why? Because I saw Jennifer sing it on The Voice. You sang.
Yes.
I mean, this girl just got up
Lord.
out of her seat and just started singing the song, and I just had these tears just coming down my eyes because, you know, to dream the impossible dream.
Yes, ma'am.
For me to be sitting here right now is an impossible dream. I'm a poor little black girl from Galveston, Texas, and that, you know, was told a lot that I wasn't gonna be anything, and so that song just resonated with me.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Wow.
I just wanted to ask her because I was on her show.
Thank
Had
you for coming
so
to my
much
show, by the
fun.
way.
Went down
Honored to have
the tunnel. What's the
Spirit Tunnel.
Spirit Tunnel?
Oh, we love that.
And I just felt, even though I was off beat, they dogged me on.
It's your moment, though. It's your moment. You live it how you want to live your best
Is
life.
Miss Tina on?
Miss
But,
Tina's beat.
But I had so much fun there.
That's what it's about.
And we shared a little bit about, you know, I couldn't really talk about the book then, but what I did share with you is that we both lost our moms.
Yes, ma'am.
Very young, really young to lose your mom.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to show a picture of your mom.
Oh, thank you
Look
for
how
that.
beautiful.
Thank you.
And, you know, what is a matriarch to you?
A leader. Everything that you represent. Oddly, you bring up my mother, which gets me emotional, obviously. But you never know how much your mother loved you until you have a child to love.
Yes.
And I think a lot of us can relate to that.
Yes.
And it takes me back. What taught me that as a young girl, my mother used to rock me on her knee and scratch my back. And tirelessly, just do it. Then I had a son, and I'm rubbing him the same way on the same knee. And I'm like, Jesus, I'm tired. And in that moment, it taught me, I was like, you never know how much your mother loved you until you have a child to love.
It's true.
But also, you recognize just what motherhood really is. Through your mother, you know, and I see that. I see my mother in you, the way you mother your children, the way you've mothered all of us through the industry, even just watching from afar. You know, it's a certain type of comfort, a certain type of love that only a mother can give, and you reflect that so beautifully. So, I mean, I see the matriarch in you, and I represent the matriarchs in my family. We call it the mothership, okay?
The mothership.
Yes,
I like
the
that.
mothership, baby. So to be able here to represent the beautiful, powerful women that I come from in my family, and then to sit here with such powerful women sitting here and in the audience,
That's
you know,
right.
it's amazing that you would create a book to instill that in so many more mothers and women to come.
Yes.
Yes.
So thank you for that, and congratulations on your success.
Jennifer, yes to all of that. That was amazing.
It's from the heart.
Yes.
You are truly loved in so many ways. Not only did you bless us with your beautiful children and their gifts, but the way you are you as a woman, as a mother, as a Black woman, as a success in your own right. You know,
Yes.
it doesn't go unnoticed and unseen. And I'm here with pure heart, and as I feel we all are, to honor you because you have blessed us all with your legacy.
Yes. That's right.
I'll give you a hug.
That's right. She ate that for real. I'm
You
like,
are truly loved, and I do mean that from the heart, and everything comes from the heart. And, you know, in our family, they taught us to honor those that has blessed us and led us. And when you call mother, I answer. I said, what you need me to do? I am
She did not
there,
hesitate.
you know.
She didn't even really check her schedule.
No.
She was like,
Clear
I'm
from
there.
his nose.
Which
Don't
was,
play.
yeah.
Okay. And also, I would say, like, I think back through the years, like, it's been many a times we've been at several events, and you always have made a place at the table for me. And again, it does not go unnoticed, so thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
that's what a matriarch does. It creates a community and protects everybody within it.
That's right.
Jennifer Hudson! Jennifer Hudson! What a wonderful way to jump into this evening. Mama T, we're so excited for this book. I want to just start with this moment that we're in. You've lived a big, beautiful, complex life, and now you've written it down. What was it like to finally open up and decide to share so many personal things?
Well, I decided that I would write everything and share everything on the pages, but not to go back and edit it and take things out, because it became such a healing process for me. And it was good to write about things and to connect the dots about why I feel the way I do about so many things, and mainly about the trauma, because I didn't even realize I had this trauma in my body and in my soul. Because, you know, when you grow up poor and it's a challenge every day, you just keep it moving.
That's right.
You know, and you don't really take time to process how things affected you in the long run. So this book was like a healing process for me. So I started off being very careful about what I put in it. And the next thing you know, it just came out and everything was there. Some of it I had to take out of there. Because I would have gotten a lot of trouble, but you know, about my own life, you know, and my sisters and brothers, because they were like, girl, don't get carried away. So, you know, I had to take some things out, but overall, it was just such a healing process. And this book actually was 1,000 pages. And the publishing company said, Miss Tina, ain't nobody gonna read a 1,000-page book. You gotta take 500 pages out. So there is a whole nother book that I didn't get to put in this.
Y'all know what that means. Act 2 of the Matriarch. We ready for another Act 2 of the Act 2. I would say, what did you learn about yourself? But I think what's so interesting about what you said when you're going back to things, it's not so much what you learned, it's what you remembered.
Yeah.
What did you remember about you that maybe was uncovered underneath that trauma?
I don't know how many of you have gotten to read the book, but there is a part in there that I had never talked about to anyone other than my sister. And some years ago, I was in an interview and I just got really emotional. And I told it in this interview, and Yvette Noel Shore, my publicist, she was like, Miss Tina, you know how she is, like, excuse me, but I think you should save that for your book. And I was like, I'm never doing a book. But I asked the young lady not to share it, and bless her heart, she never did. But I had an incident where I went to a hospital, and I was 14 years old, and I was so sick, and they kept asking me, well, can you be pregnant? Because I was throwing up and had nausea. And I was like, no, I'm only 14. And it was almost impossible for these people to believe that this 14-year-old black girl came in there and that, you know, I wasn't having sex. And they did a pelvic exam on me. They did not ask my parents' permission. I didn't even know what they were doing. I had no idea.
They assaulted you.
Yeah, they assaulted me. And I remember going home, and I talk about this in the book. My dad took me because my mom was really sick. And when we got home, I heard my mother saying, they took Teenie in and they did this exam on her, and she started bleeding. And my mom said, oh, well, you think she was pregnant? And I remember it broke my heart. It broke my heart because I overheard it. And my dad said, hell no, in his Creole accent. And I just felt like my mother didn't trust me. She thought the worst of me. But it was a very traumatic thing. So I called my sister and I told her what my mom said. And I said, I hate her. I just cannot stand her. And you know, me and my mother were super close. And then I got to be a teenager, and that broke something in us when I overheard her saying that. So anyway, the point I'm making is that I never knew how much that traumatized me.
Yes.
So in writing about it, I just started crying, and I just had this whole sick feeling in my stomach, and I was like, I never knew that I could feel it in my body. And we hold on to trauma, and you know, I really would like to share with everyone that it's not worth it. Like, you gotta talk about those things that happened to you, because for me, I took on the shame of it. I took on the shame. I didn't do anything wrong, but for so long, I wouldn't tell anybody about it because I had shame. And I think the day that I was talking to this girl, I got real comfortable and forgot who I was talking to because I didn't know her. What you do? I mean, I don't know if that's ever happened to you, but like in interviews, some people make you so comfortable and you start just running off at the mouth. And I was like, what did you do?
She put the voodoo. Right. But you know what it is? Sometimes we just want to be witnessed.
Yeah.
In those quiet moments where we experience something that we can't name, it feels shameful, or there's trauma, or there's words unspoken. We feel like, damn, I've disappeared. I have not been witnessed. So something about that moment, that interview that you ended up sharing in this book, which I'm so grateful because I'm sure so many people have similar situations. You know, we deserve to be witnessed for somebody to see us in all of our experiences. Yeah. But that makes me want to think about a moment that you said as well, because I think so much of this context is important in that kind of experience. You wrote this in the book. This is a quote. On these trips, my mother would remind us of all the limits placed on us. The in-town beach, the white part, was considered the real beach, and how we weren't to step a toe on it. How did your mother and your family prepare you for things like you just experienced, to move through the world, a world that didn't really want to see you as equal? Because that's something I think all Black mothers specifically have to, or even white mothers with Black children, have to have the brave and the courage, have to have the courage to have that conversation.
Yes.
How did your parents guide you through that reality that you were going to experience as a Black woman in America?
Well, they, warned us all the time. I think their thing was just the fear of, my brothers going past the Black beach onto the white beach just because they were riding their bikes and they lost track of where they were and being shot up and called the N-word by some young guys that shot them in the head with BB guns. It's like, so that my mom developed so much fear. She already had fear from her trauma, but she developed a lot of fear. So every day we heard, stop running your mouth. You got a big mouth. It's going to get you in trouble. Just get home. Just shut up and get home and we'll deal with it later. And so they prepared us, as I think every Black mother has to prepare her child. When my grandson leaves, I say the same thing to him. Yeah. Hated my mama saying that, but I say to him all the time, if you get stopped, put your hands on the steering wheel, be very polite, say yes, yes, and make it home, and then we'll deal with it. And I would never think that I'd be saying the same thing that my mother said to us all the time, but I do.
1 second, Mama T, they're calling you backstage. Y'all need her now?
Me?
During the middle of the...
What's wrong?
Well, come on, I'm gonna take you. Come on, Mama T. Oh. Y'all wanna... Oh, I know what they want. This it?
My card.
Is this it, guys?
I thought it was gonna stick out.
Well, they was acting like it was a whole murder show. What's going on back there? I thought it was serious. I saw the teleprompter started typing. We need something. The hell y'all need? They went in for no reason.
And they're like, you're about to have a wardrobe malfunction.
Glad that's over. They was gonna give me a heart attack. Whew. So back to the book.
Okay.
So, the name is so perfect, the Matriarch. But it means so much, many different things to all of us. What does it mean to you, and why was that what you wanted to title the book?
It was a working title at first.
Okay.
And then as I got into the book more and more, I was like, wow, this is so perfect because it's about generations of matriarch. So it's and I wanted that to be the message to young women, that they would take this and the lessons in that book and carry them on for their families.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of that, you say in the book a lot that a lot of people don't know their family story or their family history. And you've made it a mission to know yours and obviously show the importance of that through this book. Why do you feel like that's a part of your mission of what you want to do? I mean, I know I can have an idea, but I want to know from you why.
Well, because I got very interested many, many years ago in my family and where the name, the origin of Beyoncé, which was originally Beyoncé. And I went on ancestry.com. And the first time I found my great-grandfather's name on a manifest, I went off. Like I got obsessed with just finding out information, and I was telling everybody else about it. So I started down that journey a long time ago. And then all this work that I put in, someone sent me an article that a genealogist did, and it was on my great-grandmothers, who were both enslaved, and they managed to keep their kids together, which was huge for back then. And their kids became free. So it just made me want to dig deeper to find out my lineage.
I'm going to tell you, that ancestry.com will have you hooked. I don't know if any of you all have done it, but I went so back, I saw the slave master too. It will go there though, but it does get you excited. It does. It gets you excited because you learn that some of you see a nose or an eye or something about what they did for a living that's like, oh my gosh, this is in my blood. You know what I mean? And so it's a very cool journey. And I think it's important now when so many of us are trying to understand where we want to go.
Right.
It's important to understand where we've been.
And where you came from.
And where we came from.
And why you do the things you do. Because there are a lot of things that I learned about my great-grandmothers that, well, for one thing, that they sewed. They all were seamstresses. So I got it naturally, and I passed it on to my kids. And that,
wow.
Yeah, that was interesting. And that they were very strong women, even though, my mom was not outspoken. She was kind of passive. When I was younger, I was like, she's way too passive. Like, I don't want to be like that. But behind the scenes, she was powerful. And she was working she was doing her thing to protect us in her way, not the way that I thought. Because, I'm kind of loud and I turned into a beast. But she was like laid back, but she got the same results.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're so honest about so much in this book. One of the things that I think was also really important to me was talking about your marriage, about love, the pain, staying, and then leaving.
Yes.
What was the moment for you, and I'm sure it's probably multiple moments, but that you can think of that told you it was time to go?
Yeah. Well, there were many moments that told me it was time to go.
Baby, this is Keke Palmer, yeah.
Memorial Day is right around the corner, and there is nothing more special than gathering with the whole family together to honor this important holiday. And baby, I found the perfect way to celebrate. Booking an incredible Airbnb by a lake and throwing something on the grill. So, y'all remember my winter ski chalet up in Big Bear? But the gag is, this spot is a year-round paradise. I mean, you're waking up to gorgeous lakeside views, breathing in crisp mountain air, all while the smell of barbecue floats up from the deck. That's the kind of magic I'm talking about. The space was everything. We had a massive deck where the grill master could show off their grilling skills, all while the rest of us played cards and splashed in the lake. And the game room, your girl might be a movie star, but everyone can catch these hands when it comes to Miss Pac-Man, okay? What makes Airbnb so special is how it brings families together, all with more space for the fam to spread out. Privacy when you need it, because sometimes the Palmers need a minute. And locations that hotels could never match. The Memorial Day that's coming up is time to create the precious family memories and moments in a space that feels like home. Whether it's a lakeside retreat like my Big Bear spot or any of Airbnb's most loved homes, these are the places where memories are made. What was the moment for you? And I'm sure it's probably multiple moments that told you it was time to go.
Yeah. Well, there were many moments that told me it was time to go. And I thought I listened, but, I wound up back in the same situation for many reasons. Because, I think I'm very clear in the book about, because that's a question everybody asks. Oprah was the first to do a podcast with me. She was like, girl, how many times did you go back? And why? And I said, because all of that 31 years of marriage was not all pain.
Yeah.
Some of it was amazing. And we built, yeah, it was. We built, a lot of things together. We had these wonderful kids. We built businesses together. And, you know, I never questioned whether my husband had a problem. He just had an issue that was something else going on.
Yeah, he couldn't control himself.
Yeah, but you know, I never questioned whether he loved me or my kids and that he would protect me. And I hadn't had anybody to protect me in my life the way I thought I should be protected. So there were many, many reasons, but I finally just had enough. And I had warned him that if anything happened, you know, that I even thought that I was leaving. And so I was 59 years old before I left.
And I mean,
Yeah,
I got to
for
pause
good.
there too, because I mean, a lot of people say, just stick it out. Well, let's applaud. Yeah. Let's do that. A lot of people will say, well, you know, just, you know, you guys are older, let it go. You know, what made you say I have more to live for than the same old song? Because some people have a hard time with that and they're 30.
Yeah.
Y'all know.
Yeah. No, but it's true. I mean,
It's tough.
Yeah,
It's tough to turn the page on the situationship, the new thing that ain't going nowhere,
Right.
the old thing that's never let go.
Yeah.
We have so many storylines that make us think we should stay somewhere we don't have to, and it's so hard to think that there's another chapter or let alone another book. How did you know that?
Well, I mean, I was 59 years old, so it took me a long time to learn that. And, you know, when I finally did get a divorce, I still was sad. And I still felt like a failure. I'm from a good old Catholic family that stayed together no matter what. And, you know, my parents went through a lot of things, but they stayed together and they grew old together. And that was always my dream. And I also had, you know, my children, and they were the day I had kids, they became my first priority in life. And I wanted my kids to have their father. I really did. That was so important to me for them to not come from a broken home. So, you know, that had a lot to do with it.
Yeah, I totally understand. Let's talk about motherhood, because motherhood changed me. It's the best thing that happened in my entire life. I don't even know how I was living before my baby came.
Oh.
Seriously. What do you remember about becoming a mom for the first time? How did that moment change you? Was it immediate? Was it after the first week with the baby home? Like, what were you thinking?
No. I'm telling you, when I had, the day that I had a baby, I said to my baby, and this is the honest to God truth, I said, I screwed up a bunch of stuff, but I'm not gonna screw this up. I'm gonna get this right. I'm not gonna screw it up, and I didn't. You know, I mean, I didn't. I made mistakes.
You definitely did not. Oh my God. And then you have Kelly Rowland too, who come on. Kelly, that's my girl. She calls you mom too.
Yeah, of course.
How did that relationship blossom? I know you've known, since she was a little bitty baby girl, but what does it mean, to be her mother too?
Yeah, well, it's the best. Kelly was the biggest blessing to me because she came to live with us when she was like 11, almost 12 years old. And you know, she was in a singing group and her mom couldn't get her back and forth, and she used to stay with us all the time. But she was just what we needed in our lives. Beyoncé needed a companion, and they were just so tight from day one. Like, they just hit it off. I don't ever remember the two of them ever having an argument. Now, Solange and Kelly used to go at it. But Beyoncé and Kelly are soulmates as friends.
Oh my gosh, well, Aquarius and Virgo, it's a match, baby.
Yes.
It's a match. Speaking of Beyoncé and Solange, two amazingly gifted daughters, wildly different. How did you raise them with the intention of, honoring the difference, especially with, Beyoncé having so much popularity so early on?
Mm-hmm. Well, Beyoncé, by the time she was like 10 or 11, was in a singing group. Yeah. And Solange was they're 5 years apart. So it was a big gap between them. And I saw a division coming between them because the group was always at our house. And they would say, get out of here, Solange, because Solange would be trying to run things. And, she'd be teaching choreography. And they'd be like, we don't need your help, Solange. And I just noticed that all of a sudden Beyonce wasn't protecting her because they were like super close.
Yeah.
Up until that point. And I was like, you letting people dog your sister out? Like, that's not cool. So we talk about it, and I actually put them in therapy way back when, which, you know, wasn't
Especially
a popular
in our community,
thing.
it's not spoken about, it's not talked about, you know.
That's right. And my family said, you know, you're gonna make those girls crazy because you're taking them to see a therapist. But it was the best thing I could have ever done for my kids because they have been close ever since.
It's very true, and it's so amazing to hear you talk about that foresight that you had, because it was the same thing with me and my family. You know, I'm going on the road with my mom, we're going everywhere, and we're coming back, and I'm having such a different experience because I'm traveling all out around the world, and my siblings aren't having that same experience.
Right.
And so it comes a point where the parent had to figure it out, and so my parents would do everything they can so we could be all together. And then when I got about 17, I started going to therapy, and then we started going to family therapy, and it really—
I love it.
It really changed our lives.
Yes.
You know, it really did.
Because it helps you to balance and understand things. Because when you're 10 and somebody is 5,
Look at Sharon, girl.
speaking of, can I bring your mom out?
Oh my gosh, yes, you can bring her.
Sharon, can you come out?
Yes, mommy. Oh my gosh, y'all, that's my girl.
Thank you for coming on.
Ooh, this is scary.
These lights, right?
Yeah.
I would love to ask you, Mom, since you're up here, I mean, you guys have shared experience of having children in this industry, but also being the matriarchs of your family. I know you read the book or you're listening to the audiobook.
Yes, I am. And you're the baby.
I'm the baby.
I'm the baby of 7.
Are you? I'm the baby of 7. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes, I'm loving your book.
Well, thank you.
I mean, you know, I just watched this woman for years. And a lot of times when I needed advice and I say, what would Beyonce mama do?
Aww.
Okay.
And I remember, we're from Illinois, a small town outside of Chicago. And I remember driving in the car and hearing Destiny's Child is coming to the area. And I just remember just feeling like this young woman works so hard and she's everywhere. And I wanted that for Keke. You know, I didn't want the fame. I just wanted her, she liked to sing, she liked to dance, and I wanted to do it the right way.
That's right.
Now, you said you want to do it the right way.
Yes.
And when I had a child, she really made me love because Keke was the type of person that was unconditional. Like I was standoffish like you say your daddy was.
Mm-hmm.
He was there and everything, but he didn't show a lot of affection.
Right.
That was me.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't show a lot of affection, but Keke came and every second she would hug my neck.
Mm-hmm.
And we would be in church and she would say, I love you, mama. And so I couldn't run away from her.
You had to give that love back.
Wait, but you all know she's infectious, right?
Yeah, she is.
And I couldn't run away, but I'm loving your book. And you've been such an inspiration, not only to me, but to all the mothers that are in this business, the class, the grace, how you conduct yourself, your family. It is such a joy to watch. Mm-hmm. And to have that as a blueprint.
That's right.
I'm just so thankful. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I just want to hear you tell your mother what she means to you.
Oh my gosh, Mommy, I'm so happy that you're here with me. Before we came up on stage, I was saying to my mom, I'm so happy we get to have these experiences together to encourage and be inspired and to keep doing what it is we're doing.
Yes.
You know, me and my mom coming from Illinois, it was very much like thick as Steve. We was playing good cop, bad cop. She set the script and I performed, pretend I was like a kid, but really I was old. And all I can say, Mom, is it's like this. Everything y'all see in me is from her. And where the world tried to hollow her out, the anchor came through.
I know
with
that's
me.
right.
Yes.
Yes.
And you and everything you are and everything you've been will forever be remembered. You are always the matriarch of our family, Mommy. I love you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're the best in the world. Love you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
This episode is brought to you by Saks. Spring has sprung, okay? The fashion is fashioning, and it is time to shed those winter layers like a butterfly coming out of its cocoon. Just like that, Saks Fifth Avenue lands on Amazon just in time to trade in those heavy coats for something a little more temperature-raising. From stunning Jean-Baptiste Valli pieces to fierce etro prints, every single dress, pump, clutch is ready to help you bloom into spring. Whether you need the perfect flowy dress for the spring weddings or some casual cool pieces for your weekend brunches or a new statement bag to elevate your whole transition wardrobe, it is all right there, Saks on Amazon. From women's and men's fashion to accessories that'll make your whole outfit pop, Saks is serving up everything you need, powered by the easy, seamless, and personalized Amazon platform. Now, y'all know I love putting some ish on, even when I'm in my businesswoman bag. This spring, I personally got my eye on some statement pieces that can instantly elevate even the most conservative of looks. Maybe it's a classy boucle, skirt, suit paired with some sickening Dolce & Gabbana sequin platform pumps, or a breathtaking printed silk sheath from Etro with some over-the-top Stella McCartney shades. Baby, I'm trying to give springtime CEO glamour, and Saks on Amazon has got me covered. Get the Saks designer brands you love delivered just like that, new on Amazon.
That was so nice.
Mama T, thank you so much for giving me that moment to honor my mother. I just feel like that's so important for us to be able to have those moments.
Yes.
We only get one mama.
That's right.
What do you hope that your daughters and your granddaughters take from this book?
Well, I hope that they can learn about their great-great-grandmothers, because I never met my grandmother, and my kids never met my mother. So I think they'll learn about Agnes and her mother and how strong and resilient these women were. And to have a lot of pride in that. It's a lot of history in there about Louisiana and Galveston and the different places. And so I think that they'll appreciate having that little piece of history about their own family. That's what I'm hoping it will inspire other people to do too. Everybody in here should write a book. Not for publication, just to pass on to the next generation, because one day we won't be here.
That is so important. I love how you said that, because that's the best way for us to remember each other.
Yes.
Speaking of remembering each other, I want to talk about Johnny. You and Johnny. That photo of you all from Renaissance is so iconic. You know, how did it come to be chosen? You know, and what did it mean to see that as a symbol of Black love, family, and pride?
You know, Renaissance was inspired by Johnny because he loved house music. And he turned my kids on to it. He was my favorite person in the whole entire world, my closest friend. And he taught the girls about that music. So when Beyoncé did Renaissance, she called me, and I was actually getting ready to do a podcast, and she said, I need a picture. And I said, oh, God, got to go through these big buckets of pictures. And I went in there, and at the top was this picture. So Johnny just gave me that picture. Because out of all, it's hundreds of pictures. Wow. And that's just like him, because he was probably like, Mary, I'm going to leave this picture here. Make sure I look good. That was Johnny.
You write about the beauty and joy of Black queer identity through Johnny's story. How did his freedom help shape your understanding of what it means to live authentically?
Well, that's what I say about him. When people ask me, well, why did you like him so much? The biggest part of it was that he was so free. Because think about, Johnny was born in 1950, and I was born in 54. And he lived authentically like himself. And he's being silly on there, but he lived out loud from I remember, he's like 9 and I'm 5, and the little old biddies in the neighborhood, they're saying little negative stuff, and he's like, he would just put on a show for him, and I would too, And he was just defiant when people judged him, and my family didn't judge him. So it made him so comfortable with who he was. And I just thank God for that, because I had no idea that other people were treating, human beings a certain way.
Yeah.
He didn't get that. I had all these macho brothers that played sports, and, I talk about in the book where they decided they were going to make him play basketball. And then at the end, they said, well, Johnny can make our uniforms, but he's not going to play basketball.
They say, get your designing, boo.
Yes.
I do want to touch on your father, Loomis Albert Beyoncé. Now, how do I pronounce it? Beyoncé?
It's Beyonce. It's like Beyonce.
Oh, it is
It's
Beyonce.
name.
Now, you described him as hardworking and loving, but also a man who was blind in one eye, who couldn't read and write, but still showed up for his family. What did you learn through his quiet strength and his pain?
I didn't learn that he couldn't read and write till I was older. I used to give him all these cards I just loved my daddy. And he would take them and shake them out to see if there was money in them. And so it used to be funny to people, so they would give him like $1 so he could shake it out. And then one day, I was like, this don't seem funny anymore. And I went inside and I said, I don't know why Daddy is so rude like that. And my sister said, girl, Daddy can't read and write. And I was like, what? So it made me feel so bad for all those cards I gave him. And, it must have been humiliating for him. And he was just a quiet man, and he liked to have his drinks on the weekend, he from Friday through Sunday, but he'd go to church, full of that drink.
My daddy, too.
My daddy. Yeah.
Yep. Now, you write that turning 70 gave you a whole new kind of confidence. What shifted for you in that moment, you think? Was it the age? Was it the decisions that you made in your life because of what you learned by that age? Or
the older you get, the more you care less about what everybody else thinks about you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And you just become free. And I like to say I don't give a about, people judging me.
That's right.
Or whatever. And that you just get to a place where you own your life. And that's where I am now.
How do you think we can continue to cultivate that kind of confidence in our everyday life? Obviously, some of it takes time, but what would you say are some tools to be able to just be confident, to be in our authentic self and make choices today so we don't have to think about making them in the future?
Yeah, well, I think that women now are younger women. You guys, y'all don't put up with all of that these days. You get out of there. And I think that, if I had anything to do over again, it would be that I would have left my marriage earlier than I would have. And I think if I was born in a later time, I think I probably would have. But there were women back then that left, I'm not that old, but it was a different time. But nowadays, I love how young women are independent, and they just don't put up with all of that.
Now, you spoke a little bit about your mom, Miss Agnes Darion, and I love when I hear the thing, Darion. I mean, come on, y'all know House of Darion, okay? Yes! So you write about her being a force, but you described her as overprotective, cautious, and yet deeply devoted. I mean, looking back and remembering her and then thinking of who you are today, what do you recognize about her that lives in you?
My faith. My mom she was so faithful to God, and she really depended on him, and she really believed that he was always there and could work out anything, and that is my faith. I know that I am here today sitting on the stage by the grace of God, and no matter what I've been through in my life, it's been so many miracles in my life, and he always comes through. And so,
Amen.
Even though when I was a kid, I was very resentful because I was like, who goes to church 7 days a week? My mom went to mass 7 days a week. And we used to call her St. Agnes, but not in a good way. But that stuff stuck with me. So whenever, like they say, when your butt is up against the wall you know, I have that faith, and my mom, that's the biggest gift that she gave to me. That and being able to sew, reupholster the furniture, build a kitchen cabinet.
Be self-reliant.
I do all of that. Yeah.
I know that's right.
Yeah, I do. I love doing all creative things, and she gave me that gift.
Something else you said in the book, I want to quote, my family was on pennies, but we were living like millionaires. And I feel that because I remember even for me growing up in the small town, I grew up in Robbins, a lot of those days were much happier than the days that I had when I started making my own money.
Yeah. What you started when you were 5.
9. I had to get to work soon because I was poor. You know how bad it is? You gotta put the baby to work? Okay, it was that bad. No. I ask it because now we live in such a time where everything is so compared. You know, you can turn on the social media and you can see what somebody got, you know, and I feel like it's that much harder for people to find joy in the simple things. So what was it that brought you that joy that made you feel like a millionaire even though you didn't have a lot?
Well, think about it. My sister had 8 children. And it was 5 of us, and my brother had 4, and they were all at our house. We had this 2-bedroom house that 7 people lived in. We were really poor because my dad could not work all the time because of his blindness in his ear. He was a longshoreman, so he only had to do light load stuff. So anyway, we really struggled. My mom collected those S&H stamps. Y'all don't know what that is because y'all too young. But they were stamps that you collected from the grocery store, and you could redeem them for toys and appliances.
Come on,
and
credit.
things like that. Yeah, it was like that.
Yes.
And we had a good game going because we would go to the grocery store, my nephew Johnny and all of us, and we would sit in the front of the store like little beggars. And people would come out and we would say, "Do you want your stamps?" Because that's how we get our Christmas presents. And people would give us all of their stamps. And so we would just have books of stamps. And we got croquette sets, ping pong sets. We were living, you know, my backyard, which I thought was huge, which was probably maybe about the size of this stage, not even that wide. We thought it was huge, and we had a swing set. And for you to have a swing set back then was so fly.
Yeah.
So everybody came to my house. They wanted to be over there all the time. And, you know, if you fought one, you fought everybody. And the family was a whole bunch of us. And we just had so much fun that, and the beach was right down the street, 6 blocks away. And so my mom would just pack these hot dogs and nickel sodas, and we would go to the beach and ride the ferry. And she would say, "This is your yacht, your boat." And I would be like, "Oh." So, you know, it's funny because when I became a teenager, I put this in a book, and I used to take Destiny's Child out on the ferry to ride the ferry, and you feed the pigeons. And you know, it's a ferry, it's a raggedy ferry that you drive the cars on. But I would say when I was young, I would take all my boyfriends there and I would sing to them.
Ooh!
And I would say, "Do you want to go on my yacht?" And they would be like, "You got a yacht?" And I would take them out on the ferry and sing to them. So that was a good game.
I know that's right.
So I thought you know, how could you think that you were poor when you had all of that fun and love and the beach and all that?
And all I keep hearing is community. And that's really where it lies.
Yeah.
You know, we continue to see the erasure of our history and our culture. As an avid collector of Black art, you know, I got to do the Wearable Art Gala with you. That was so fabulous. Yes, it was incredible. What do you believe is the responsibility of artists today in preserving the history and the community that you're speaking to?
Well, absolutely. As a collector of art, I look on my walls every day and I see history. And art is a way that we can keep that history going. And so you can erase it out of the books, but you can't come in my house and take my paintings that are on my wall. So it's a very important thing that we can pass on to our kids. And you know, it's funny because my kids would say all the time, they were like, "Mama, we don't like your art. Your art is, you got all the slave art." But I'm like, you know, that's a part of our history too.
That's right.
So now they can appreciate it. somewhat. They still like contemporary art, but that is history. So think about years from now, if things are erased, that I can pull those paintings out and then explain, not me, but my great-grandchildren to their children, well, at one time this happened. And artists keep that alive. They're inspired by it.
I couldn't agree more. And even when I think about the Renaissance and what that means and how that album has time-stamped this period where we have the works of not just that album, but the work of films like Sinners from Ryan Coogler, or we have albums from Kendrick Lamar, or it truly is the renaissance of that self-awareness that we're seeing these Black artists take that next step in that evolution of owning our own narrative and being the masters of our own story. That is the Renaissance.
Yes, it is.
It is. It's just incredible to see. So, I would love to have a little fun with you on some, rapid questions if you're down.
Oh, Lord, okay.
Little razzle-dazzle. Okay, I'm keeping it simple. Last time you went to Target?
You didn't. It's been a while.
Okay, go-to comfort food.
Oh, God, soul food.
Always.
Always.
I live for a mac and cheese, sweet potato combo, even spaghetti and catfish. I know it don't sound right, but try it. Okay? Early bird or night owl?
Night owl.
Ooh, I didn't expect that. Dream job as a child?
As a child, probably working at an ice cream place. I used to want to work at an ice cream.
The literalness of that. Favorite hobby?
The beach. Just anything about the beach. It's my happy place.
Oh, I love that. Favorite show all time? This is gonna get...
Favorite show, favorite movie?
Won't you give me favorite movie or for
Okay,
both?
my favorite movie is Cooley High.
Oh my God, they killed Cochise!
What, they killed Cochise?
They killed
And
Cochise!
one of my best friends is Preach. Where you at?
Oh my gosh, is he?
Yes,
No,
Cooley
he
High.
ain't. Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! You guys! Icon. Cooley High.
Yes.
One of the most cultural classic film whoever haven't seen, you gotta check it out. It's sad though. Get ready to cry.
Yeah. I cry still. I've seen it about 27 times. And
you know, they filmed it in Chicago, and my uncle used to always say I was in the back scene. No, you was not. You was not in the back scene. Okay, best birthday gift you ever received. But before you tell them, ooh, she gave me these as a gift, guys. These Schiaparelli earrings. Isn't she just the sweetest? I had to tell them.
I'm trying to think. The best birthday that I ever had, I think, was, oh my God, with my family in the Bahamas. I mean, it was so, I was on the beach, I was eating good, sleeping good, and I was surrounded by just a lot of people in my family. It was the best.
Family always makes it good. This is the last one.
Okay.
Last thing you cooked.
The last thing I cooked was gumbo.
And you know it was good. Ooh, what you put in your gumbo?
Oh, girl, everything. Everything. Sausage, crab.
I feel like greens,
shrimp,
beans, tomato,
everything.
sausage,
Exactly.
crawfish.
We need to do a gumbo one.
Yes.
Yes, you need to do that.
Oh my gosh. Well, tonight has been so full of joy and love and laughter and powerful life lessons. Miss Tina, it has been an honor to sit beside you.
Well, thank you. And Keke is on her way to the Met Ball, and she came and did this for me.
Anytime.
The best. She and Jennifer, what can I say?
We all thank you for the wisdom, the stories, the encouragement, and the inspiration to really believe that anything is possible. It really keeps us going. You are a true queen and a shining example of strength and grace. Thank you, Los Angeles. Y'all showed up tonight.
It's wonderful.
Have a wonderful night, everyone, and please give one last loud applause for Mama T, Miss Tina Knowles. You're the best.
I love you.
I love you. Thank you.
Go catch your plane.
Yes.